Well, Everton Football Club, let's discuss Everton. They've featured on the podcast a couple of times in recent weeks for different reasons. Frank Lampard, of course, was let go last week and has been replaced by, we thought it was going to be Marcelo Bielsa for a while, but no, it's Sean Dyche. Much the same, but from a different sort of place, I guess, and with a different sounding voice, you know? But other than that...
Do you want to have a go at it?
The same? What, the Sean Dyche voice?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think if our experience has taught us anything, it was that me doing accent's not a good idea.
It's not accent, it's an impression. It's different.
What if I just if I don't do the accent, but I take the gravel tone in my same accent?
No, you want to do it more like that, Sean Dyche.
Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Does anybody have a mint?
That's right. The thing is, we play a 4-4-2. You make sure that the fullback pushes up right to the halfway line.
This is good.
Keep everything together.
You sound like you know Ellis James.
He sounds like Sean Dyche is what he sounds like.
But he sounds more like you know Ellis James.
Yeah.
And Ellis James and John Robbins used to do the show where they did an impression of a guy from Australia. Who would have exactly the same kind of Sean Dyche, but you're like,
Roddy, mate!
like that.
Make your voice a bit gravelly for Sean Dyche. I've spoken to him on the phone a few times.
Have you?
That's when he's Australian, yeah.
You've spoken to him on the phone?
Yeah.
What have you spoken to him on the phone about?
Doing research for articles for Telegraph when I used to be a big old journalist.
He wasn't ordering a pizza from you or something, or he accidentally called you when you worked at the
he was talking
Argos.
about the leadership qualities of players like Ashley Barnes. He's worked very hard to get to where he is now. We put the things in place to make sure that the players can reach the potential. Then it's up to the player to get there.
Right, okay.
That's it, yeah.
And in your real accent, not the English one, though, just the Scottish one, please. Sean Dyche, do you think he's going to sort the Everton squad? I mean, there's a lot. I can see you were getting ready to do the accent again. Don't you do it. You cease now. Do you think, because their first game against Arsenal the weekend is quite a big, tough opening game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be...
Do your posh English one, that's good as well.
Oh yes, Arsenal versus Everton. Yeah. So the thing is, Sean Dyche excelled at Burnley using a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Very disciplined kind of formation, but it's not quite the 4-4-2 you think it is. They push very high. Often the back four becomes a 3. They play inverted wingers. It depends on where they go. His off-ball 4-4-2 organisation is key.
Yes.
Because to prevent teams playing against them and scoring many goals, he would keep the 4-4-2 rigid and show the ball wide from the front two, which often becomes a 4-4-1-1, which is basically all formations don't really matter. It depends where the ball is and where the players go. And so what we'll see against Arsenal with Everton is likely a 4-4-2, which is more of a 4-4-1-1. The personnel, we don't know.
Well, thanks to Lord Bull. I mean, he's right, though. Lord Bull's right, though, isn't he, John? Because people don't know, do they? They think it's the one thing you said earlier, but then it is actually another thing you also said earlier.
Yeah, Sean Dyche is a bit of an anomaly because people have a very specific idea of him based largely on JJ's impression of him, I think.
I'm an anomaly.
Yeah, people talking about him as a manager. Yeah, a manager who will keep your club up at all costs kind of manager, despite the fact that he's had 2 managerial jobs. One of them was Watford, which I think was only half a season long. I think he did okay there, but I think they were already going down anyway.
Yeah.
And then well, maybe qualify. I'll leave that one up to Steve. How did Sean Dyche do when he was at Watford, Steve? At Burnley, he took that over when they were in the Championship and took them up and kept them in the Premier League for a long time, which isn't really a firefighting manager. It's like a manager.
He got relegated once in that time, I think. He took him
back up the following season. Yeah, so I don't know. But
on a tiny budget as well. Like the job he did, right? So like, sure enough, it's kind of boring to watch, and you knew that they're going to be robust, hard to beat. But the thing is, he had no budget. They bought nobody at all, and all he always went for was people who have strong characters, like a decent technical level, because you have to be at the Premier League, but players like Jack Cork looked really good for him, Ashley Westwood, like all these players that you don't think would be phenomenal. He managed to keep them like going all the time in the Premier League, and then soon enough, as they kept going towards the end, they kept selling the best players. Tarkowski went, Chris Wood went, like everyone left, but yet they were still battling against teams who had spent hundreds and hundreds of millions. The money they spent was on making the training ground decent. Yeah, they got into Europe once. They played Aberdeen in the
Derek McInnes's Aberdeen.
Yeah. Lewis Ferguson scored an overhead kick against them, but they were just the hardest team we could have got in that draw. I think they were solid. They're hard to play against.
He's a good manager.
We're going to come back to talk about Aberdeen, but just quickly to your question for Steve Hankey's popped in the plan there, that Watford finished the 2011-12 season in 11th place. Dyche took over after Malky Mackay. It was the best finish for 4 years, but the Pozzo family took over and they sacked him.
Right. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
So firefighting manager with a mid-table finish at Watford, and then a couple of seasons where he was struggling with Burnley.
So maybe he's not what people think he is necessarily. But let's have a quick look at the squad, though, of what he actually has to deal with here at Everton. Of course, we have players like Yerry Mina, Tarkowski there, Mason Holgate. I was thinking earlier that that fella from Burnley's gone there, hasn't he? What's his
name?
Dwight McNeil will be rejoined.
And Tarkowski,
they'll be rejoined with Sean Dyche, of course. Damari Great, Alex Iwobi, who's has a slightly different role this season, but has played excellently well. And of course, we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who has been, suffered several injuries over the last sort of year, 18 months or so, but is an excellent performer at top level. You would think, JJ Bull, that there is enough quality within the squad for that team not to be getting relegated from the Premier League. Obviously, the circumstances at the moment say otherwise, but you look at the squad list and you think, like, there's definitely enough there, right?
There's some decent enough individual players, but like it's difficult with some of them. Like Alex Iwobi, technically gifted player. I still don't think he's a midfielder. I know he's had a couple of good games there, but they've
one of the better players this season, right?
But they're almost getting relegated. So does that matter? He's also played a lot on the right wing as a right wing back. He doesn't track his men. There's loads of goals and examples. We can just see simple things that players like him should have coached out of them, and they still do.
Let me say a Scottish player and then see if you react any differently. Nathan Patterson.
Nathan Patterson is a very good right back.
There he goes.
When he plays for Scotland, couldn't get in the Rangers first team either.
Yeah.
So James Tavernier kept him out. Is it 12 million? I think they paid for him. He's got a really high ceiling potential wise. He's not literally within his house, although he may have tall ceilings. But then you think he could play, but then you can't put him into a team that's really struggling in relegation because you might dent his confidence, whatever. You want him to keep developing. And also you have Seamus Coleman who can play there. And the shape they've been playing, it depends what suits this team. And it's probably a 3-4-3, 5-4-1 formation. But then if you've only got Dominic Calvert-Lewin as your only real striker, like Maupay's there as well, sure enough. But you can't really play Maupay as just a 9 to hold up the play if you want to play deep and create the ball forward. You need Calvert-Lewin, something like that to play. Playing a 4-4-2, I don't know how that would work unless you could maybe play Iwobi off of Calvert-Lewin in that sort of shape.
Worth saying, Nathan Patterson actually has more minutes than Seamus Coleman this season.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, good.
Seamus Coleman is 34 years old.
I know, that's crazy.
Scary.
It's one of the best guys Frank Lampard ever met.
Yeah.
The other thing to say is the last time Frank Lampard left a job and was replaced by someone else, the first thing they did was sort out the defending, and then
they won the Champions League.
So watch this space.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.